I'm one of the most extreme motherfuckers that you could possibly imagine because I don't give a fuck. When it comes to, what Zionism actually is, it's just the Jewish people being able to go back home from where we were kicked out of.
October 7th for me made me realize how hot Jewish chicks were.
Oh, shit. Listen, you have us to thank for your books.
Right,
I mean, it's like, tread lightly because, without us, there is no you. Whether you want to believe me or not, go f*** yourself. I don't care, okay? This is my narrative. You believe it or you don't, okay?
From iron wombs our fathers.
All right, welcome to Gay Men Podcast. There's three of us here today. Oh, shit, wrong one. Welcome to Badass Jews. Today, one of the baddest ass Jews anywhere. We've recently been having bodybuilders on. What else have we had?
We had bodybuilders. We had a mobster on. We had more bodybuilders.
Yeah. Now, not a bodybuilder, but a badass Jew. Equally.
Yes.
This guy's so outspoken. You got to go to his Instagram. One of the most brilliant minds today, even though it's clouded with indica and sativa, he spouts so much fucking knowledge on Israel. It's almost aggravating to Israel. He knows so much about Israel, it pisses everybody off. Please welcome Joe.
What up? What up? Well, thank you for such an amazing intro. I hope I live up to the expectations, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And
educate us, man.
And I'm sorry that I don't look as swole as these two motherfuckers next to me. So I didn't get. Listen, my testosterone did not come in the mail. I didn't get paid my $7,000 by the IDF for Israel. So hopefully next month I can start juicing, and I'll be right up there with you.
Dude, you want to juice? It's a great feeling, but once you hit about 20 weeks, you start to tap out.
It's so funny that we talk about juicing, because that's how they say it. At derogatory, they call it
juicing.
So
that's what they do. They put juice boxes on Instagram.
So we're literally juicing right now. But let me take this time and say congratulations on the competition.
Thank you.
I know what kind of dedication that takes, and it is definitely not a small feat that should be overlooked.
Thank you, brother. Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah. I feel good.
You make us proud.
I don't feel good, but I feel good. Not a lot of Jewish bodybuilders.
Not too many.
No, we have one on. She's going to be on, and Dina, she's killer, man. She looks great. Yeah. Jack chick. Single Jewish woman, bakes her own challah, makes her own hamantashen.
Very nice.
How Jewish?
She's pretty damn Jewish. She knew about all the holidays and the keep kosher and
everything.
So she's Jewish.
Are you dating anyone?
I date a little bit here and there. It's but
all Jewish.
All Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it is?
There she is.
Oh, she's pretty hot.
Yes.
There you go. Look at that.
All right, we'll hook it up.
Single.
I'll let her bench press me.
Lives in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great, dude.
I mean, listen, I don't discriminate out there, but to tell you the truth, since October 7th, and we would jump right into it, to even attempt to want to get to know somebody outside of our realm, they have no idea what we've been through as a people. They have very little have respect for what we went through as a people, and to try to get them to understand, exactly where I'm at in this point in my life right now is just not conducive with anything. So it's I'd rather somebody who knows what we've been through, kind of is on the same wavelength, doesn't have to be super, orthodox, because I'm not really about religion too much. I'm more about the history, the culture, the tradition, rather than the actual, I can't argue, listen, this land was promised to us 3,000 years ago because somebody in the sky, said to Abraham, this is yours. I can't argue that because I can't physically or tangibly touch something. Mm-hmm. So, which, any girls out there, I'd like to physically, tangibly touch you, and I'll be able to prove my point.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that, I'd rather somebody that I know that we're already on the same wavelength, rather than having to do an uphill battle when we're talking about how we should raise our kids and the fact that there's only 15 million Jews in the world, but you want to not have our kid raised as Jewish, and then you have to, I can't convince you to convert because that's not, according to the Jewish religion, or the conversion, process. If you try to convince them to convert because of you for marriage and stuff like that, then it's not valid. They have to want to do it on their own. So it's talk about wanting to take over the world. If we wanted to take over the world, we wouldn't make these stupid little loopholes. We would be able to say, listen, okay, you want to, boom, you're Jewish. I know I just did the cross thing.
Yeah.
More like I'll do the Star of David, the both triangles, upside down and upwards. But yeah, for people to say that, Jews want to take over the world when actually converting to Judaism is one of the longest and lengthiest process, and there's caveats that come with it, I think people should just shut the fuck up.
They also never take it to the conclusion of let's say we wiped out all the non-Jews and it was just like how many Jews exist on planet Earth?
Like 15 million.
So, and now we're just stuck on Earth, a giant planet of just 15 million Jews.
And that's not, and all of those Jews are not our kind of Jews. There's the Mandani Jews.
Right.
There's the Jews that don't really give a f***, that are so assimilated that they don't want no problems. And I don't blame them, but this begs the question, what would you have done in 1930s Germany? Were you the type of for Jews and non-Jews, were you the type of Jew that's going to stand up and revolt against the establishment because you see injustices are being served? And for non-Jews, are you going to be the person that is going to hide, Anne Frank in an attic? Or are you the person to call up the people from the SS and say, hey, we got Jews that are hiding downstairs? So it really shows you what type of person you are. And October 7th woke me up so much that it showed me how disgusting people are. And I don't even mind that 20,000 people unfollowed me once I started talking about Jews and Israel. Because
what'd you talk about before?
I mean, it was all hip hop. I mean, I was in the hip hop industry for over 25 years. I had a successful podcast called the Verified Podcast, which I'm going to relaunch again, where I talk to all like yesteryear stars and everyone that was relevant in the hip hop world. Like I had DJ Enough. I had Shampoo on there, who's one of the largest street team promoters in all of hip hop. I had comedian Aries Spears on there. That was the first person that I had on.
Yeah.
I had DJ EFN from Drink Champs. I had him on twice. He I wouldn't say good friend of mine, but very cordial. Always answers my DMs and like really cool person to interview. And and just a shitload of others. So after October 7th happened, it was I don't know how much about history but it was I call it the Jabotinsky moment, because Jabotinsky, who was someone who invented revisionist Zionism, who has said that diplomacy is not going to get us where we need to go to get us our Jewish state. There needs to be some sort of force or some sort of leverage that we have that people are going to allow this movement to actually take place.
So a couple things here. First of all, October 7th, you say, is a wake-up call. Even though there's been pogroms, there's been tons of shit throughout history that we've known about. So it's been a constant. But this is the most modern version of that. October 7th, for me, made me realize how hot Jewish chicks were.
Oh, shit.
I don't know why.
My God. And in IDF uniforms, like, I didn't know that I had a fetish for, these, like, Mizrahi Jewish girls that, with big guns, in these tight I think it's, I'm sorry if this is, like, offensive. Apologies, but you girls are just Baruch Hashem.
But even New York Jewish chicks look hotter after October 7th.
Yeah.
I think it's this rarefied air that we all breathe together. The next question is, and tell this to the layman, why is Israel so important to fight for? And we know that there's inklings of because of what's happening right now, but explain it in your own terms. Why is Israel such a necessary nation?
In short, Israel is necessary so another Holocaust cannot take place.
Yeah.
Israel was not created because of the Holocaust. It was created in spite of the Holocaust. When you think about, what Zionism actually is, and this word has been bastardized and just torn to shit. We're literally dealing with a bunch of like uneducated pieces of shit that don't know vocabulary. It's a war of definitions. Every single word, from goy to Zionism to apartheid to genocide to like every single definition they get wrong. They classify it as something completely different. So when it comes to what Zionism actually is, it's just the Jewish people being able to go back home from where we were kicked out of. If you think about they talk about colonization and imperialistic rule and we're the white colonizers, even though Jews are not white. Like none of us come from the Caucasus Mountains. I'll get into that afterwards. But if you think about it, colonization is representative of the languages that they speak in the land. So if you want to see who the worst colonizers are, you see what language is spoken most throughout the world. How many places speak Hebrew? You know that
one,
and majority of them speak English as well.
Yeah.
Like me. So when it comes to where Hebrew actually, like our language, our foundation, the core of who we are stems from that land, and it's documented historically, not religiously. I give a fuck about this was promised 3,000 years ago. Jerk my fucking Jewish for 3,000 years. None of that fucking matters. But Israel is here so that we don't have to worry about being exterminated.
Yeah.
That's it. Nice and simple.
Question. So people say like when we came back to Israel, Hebrew was basically like a dead language because it had been spoken for a long time, and they had
Not entirely true. That's a narrative that they use to try to say that you don't have a right to come back to this land.
Yeah.
And they'll cite there was a magazine in early British Mandated Palestine called Palestine, which there was an argument about what should be the national language. Should it be German or it should be Hebrew? And basically and the reason that they were having this discussion is because you can't do quantum physics in Hebrew. So they were leaning towards making it German, but after a vote, they made it Hebrew. But the Palestine, this was Christian Arabs that were basically in charge of this magazine, made it like it was a whole debate, kind of framing it like we were turning our back on Hebrew because it never really, was our national language. But as you see, the Torah is written in Hebrew.
Right.
I mean, there's
and the Jews that were, because there were Jews that obviously stayed in Israel. There were Jews at the time, had been in Israel, not a lot, but those Jews, were they speaking Hebrew?
They're speaking Hebrew. They probably also spoke Arabic. Because,
right, of course, yeah.
Because in order to, a majority of the people of that land, prior to 1881, which was considered the first Aliyah,
right.
the majority was of Arab descent.
Right.
And when I say of Arab descent, coming from Saudi Arabia, mainly populated by Egyptians and Jordanians and Syrians and Lebanese. So when it comes to our native language of Hebrew, it's like we were almost exterminated. So it was only right that we brought back to life, what you guys weren't really aware of because we didn't really have a significant presence, up until the time where we were being, chased out and pogromed all across fucking Europe and then later the Arab nations.
When Jerry Seinfeld says, Palestine, it doesn't exist.
I came. I busted in. When he said that, I was
which is a great answer, but I guess explain to people who are not necessarily anti-Israel, but they're kind of confused because there's a lot of bullshit online, so it's hard to make heads and tails. Like, what are the Palestinian people ethnically? Where do they come from? What's the whole situation there?
I'm going to take a very, very bad stance on this one.
Okay.
Because the argument of Palestine doesn't exist, it's a waste of time.
Got
it. Like, you want to identify as Palestinian, like, it is a made-up identity, but you're not going to stop people from feeling what they feel. It's just like somebody trying to tell me, even though this might be a bad example, I'm Middle Eastern. You're Middle Eastern. You're Middle Eastern. Unless there were converts in your family, you're descendants from the tribe of Judah. Everyone came from Judea. That's where Jews actually come from.
Right.
So to deny what our identity is, or to have them deny us our identity, it's like, and we're just basically just pulling it back on them. Well, Palestinians are fake identity, and it doesn't really exist, and it's made up of, Egyptians and Jordanians, and Gaza was run by Egypt up until 1967, and, Jordan, had control of the West Bank up until 1967, so there were no real Palestinians, and it only was created in 1964 from Yasser Arafat with the creation of the PLO, and, because prior to 1948, there is an argument that they did not call themselves Palestinians.
Right.
They were considered the Arabs of Palestine, mainly because Palestine had to do with the Bible having to do with the Jews. So it was always associated with the Jews, and God forbid the Arabs associated themselves with Jewish people.
So you think it's an insignificant point when it's being brought up? It's not
really relevant. I mean, I know people that will, when I see in my comments, they're like, there's no such thing as Palestinians. And I'm like, and I'll like it, and I'll be like, maybe throw a laughy face and stuff. But it's a waste of time in the argument.
It's not the bottom line, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you want to identify as Palestinian? Fine. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to convince you that Palestinianism doesn't exist to the point where they're going to leave the land.
I think the only reason why it is relevant is because there are people who think that, like the Native Americans, Jews came from Europe, found this land where there was native Palestinians that have lived there, and we came there and we colonized them. And I think there are people who actually believe that. They have no idea about
anything,
any of the history.
Anything. Yeah.
So
they love the fucking headlines. They love the
revisionist
buzzwords.
history. That's the best way to put it.
That's
right?
exactly complete. I mean, it's not even revisionist history. There's nothing to substantiate their revision. Like, I could see certain arguments in certain places, but majority of it is bullshit. So it's not even revisionist. It's made up. It's fraudulent. It's fugazi. It's everything but revisionist, because revisionist would have some sort of authenticity or some sort of validity to it, or at least in my mind, that is. If I'm having a debate with any sort of historians and somebody came out and said, oh, well, the Jews did start the war in 1948, and they don't give me any sort of substantiation, where did they attack, what village, what day, what time, why did they actually do this, like how many did they kill? Unless they can provide me facts and substantiation with documented proof from the archives with footnotes, unlike Rashid Khalidi's book that doesn't have anything, you're just basically making shit up. You just want to get clicks on whatever platform you're running with.
So is the stem of this argument basically people just unwilling to admit we want Jews gone?
Yes and no. If you know nothing.
Okay. I'll play.
Okay. If you know absolutely nothing about right.
Yeah.
You've assimilated into society. You could even be Jewish. Let's take the most dangerous thing to my kind of Jews is the Jew that has no idea who the fuck they are.
Right.
So if you knew nothing prior to October 7th, and then after October 7th, all of a sudden you start hearing people say, Israel's committing a genocide. They've been occupying the Palestinians for 70 years, and you're like, wait.
And just to clarify, a genocide is when a number of people are decreasing, not increasing.
Yes and no. Like the amount of people that die is very insignificant when it comes to the actual overall definition of genocide. It's all about the intent. The intent. There's a Latin word called dolus specialis, which is basically like, if you want to put the equivalent into legal terms, it's like the mens rea, or the legal term, the state of mind that the government has to be in order to commit said genocide, and the intent has to match the actions on the ground. You can't cherry pick certain words, and say, oh, they're committing a genocide because he said they're animals. And then if you listen to the rest of the sentence, he's talking about Hamas specifically. Yeah. And that was one of the things they tried to bring to the ICJ, like that's the genocidal intent. You can, argue that Schmoltrich and Ben Gvir, very right-wing members of the Knesset, they say some genocidal shit, but they also are not in the military chain of command. They can't say, IDF, go out there and kill them all. Like they don't have to say and to do that. And for people to think that everybody in Israel thinks like that is just hard R, fucking extra chromosome redonkulousness.
Get it.
So part of it is they really don't like Jews because they don't know Jews. They don't know Jews like us. All they think about is the Jews that they hear about that are doing these nefarious things, and Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, and anyone that has a Jewish sounding last name that is convicted of something. Obviously, that's what all of us Jews are like. And now, and I always bring it back to this. I'm one of the most extreme motherfuckers that you could possibly imagine because I don't give a fuck. You don't hear me saying, let's kill them all. Even behind the scenes, don't talk about that conversation we had. But on some real, it's like if anybody would be one of those type of people,
it'd be you.
It would be me.
Yeah.
I would go looking for it, even though they make me so mad that I am triggered every time that I'm on my phone scrolling, because it's like there aren't enough of me. If we could clone 1,000 of me, it's like then we could go into the jungle and cause some damage. But me, I'm 5'6", 180, 590 pounds. Yeah, I'm a fucking beast. If you get me triggered, but I'm also 45 years old. I'm going to gas out pretty fucking quickly. Yeah. And I can only probably knock out 3 to 4 individuals before I'm knocked out and I got to go to the hospital. Yeah. So it's a cross between, them believing the bullshit that they've heard first. It's almost like somebody it's like junior high school. It's like if you can get to somebody first and spread that rumor, that his girl touched him, rather than, the other way around, then you're on the higher end of the spectrum. Yeah. Most people heard Dave Smith talk about Israel before they knew anything about Israel. And here's this guy, very charismatic, not a bad-looking guy, Jewish, you find out later that he's Jewish, and on one of the largest podcasts in the universe. So there has to be accountability, to him making any false claims, but FCC doesn't run Joe Rogan's podcast. And I'm not saying that Dave made any false claims, but he has a revisionist form of history. He does substantiate it with some facts here and there, but the grand scheme of things, he frames it in a very, very bad way, where if you know nothing about this whole conflict and you first hear Dave Smith, you're going to be against Israel and against the Jews.
And you're dying to debate Dave Smith, but
I wouldn't say dying to debate him. I want to have a conversation. you know, and be like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, I just want to know, why do you believe that, you know, Noam Chomsky and Norm Finkelstein and these guys who represent, you know, the other side of my side, you know, as opposed to Shlomo Ben Ami.
Chomsky or Chomsky?
Chomsky. You know, I'm probably butchering his name, you know,
right.
but he was a guy that was very, very against the establishment of Israel, even though he was Jewish himself.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, like, why don't you believe Benny Morris and Shlomo Ben Ami as opposed to, you know, the people that you do believe, and you're spreading this without actually putting the caveat to it, without putting the nuance in it. It's like very cut and dry without actually explaining where all of that nuance and narrative comes from. So do I want to debate him? I would much rather, I mean, yeah, I would. Like, there's no question. I would love it. But it's more about I want to interview him and just grill him. Like, why this? Why that? You know, like, and without talking about Iraq, because he's an expert in Iraq. And just like we were speaking off camera, I said, basically what he does is he'll take Iraq, which he's an absolute f***ing beast of an expert on it. And he'll be like, well, this is what happened, you know, when it came to Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction and what George Bush did and the neocons, and he'll just throw all of these words at you, and he'll actually explain a significant part of history when it comes to the Iraq war. But when it comes to the relevance, there is no relevance, because we've never seen anything like this on any scale when it comes to the war in Gaza, when it comes to the occupation, you know, and I say that word lightly, in the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria, and it was only named the West Bank to de-link the Jewish people's connection to the land, and even what's going on in Lebanon or in Syria or in Iran, and how he frames it is pretty fucked up. And there's nobody that really, you know, there's people that have balls to stand up to him, but it's like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I have no problem with being like this, like, dude, you're a fucking loser.
For people that have stopped,
I don't think you're a loser, but, you know, I'd say it to you if I felt, you know, put in a corner.
yeah, people that have stopped paying as much attention to what's going on as you do. What is the current state of Gaza? What is the current state of Israel?
The current state of Gaza is in rubble.
Okay.
Almost 70% of the infrastructure is in ruins. And let me explain the nuance why, rather than just stopping right there. If you could imagine the London Underground tunnel system, plus the New York subway system, and then double or triple it, put those together and then double or triple it, that is the size of the tunnel system underneath Gaza. The structural foundation of all of Gaza is basically compromised. Those tunnels cannot remain intact. The houses have been all booby-trapped. Now, whether you want to believe me or not, go fuck yourself. I don't care, okay? This is my narrative. You believe it or you don't, okay? The thing is, I don't get paid to fucking say any of this, okay? I'm not getting more push. Well, maybe a little bit. But, you know, I'm not getting any sort of accolades or anything like that just for, you know, talking about Israel. If anything, I've lost connections. Everyone that I used to make money with in the music industry turned their back on me, and that source of income is no longer there. And I used to write for a ton of fucking artists, and I'm fucking damn good at it, too.
Yeah.
It's just, so the infrastructure of Gaza is compromised, and you're not going to allow people to go back to their houses when Hamas has left booby traps in that house to kill IDF people that are looking for our hostages, which thank God for Trump that we got our hostages back. You know, and I know that might be a controversial thing to people that, you know, are not conservative and don't like Trump, but if you can't put your TDS aside and say, thank God Trump was able to orchestrate a deal to get the hostages returned, like, then you are, then society really is fucked.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
Society is really fucked.
So in order to demolish these tunnels, which Hamas does not allow any Gazans to use to seek, if they need to seek refuge from any bombings, or even if there's a storm, you know, like, I mean, you know, you've seen the videos of it's snowing in Gaza.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but check out Gazawood, and they'll show you everything. But you're not going to let people back into their houses when there's booby traps all over the house. There's holes in children's bedrooms that are connected to the tunnel system. Those need to be dismantled and destroyed. Everything needs to be basically obliterated in order to rebuild going from.
Why does this responsibility fall on Israel and not the people that live there? Or are they just not equipped enough to do it?
Okay, so the responsibility does not fall on Israel, even though it kind of is. And this is why. Are you going to allow these people to do it themselves? Like, even if you have an outside body, like through like the Abraham Accords, or we form a form of government in Gaza, like the Emirati system, where it's these different families like the Nashashimis, and the Husseinis, and the
Dude, that tower that they had in Die Hard, the Nashashimi Tower, that was great.
Amazing.
Remember that?
Yeah, Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. But Israel wants to make sure that they're not going to do any shit like that again, and that all of these tunnels are dismantled. Like, they can't be able to launch another 20 to 30 year war. Like they've been planning this forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of them building, water desalination facilities, instead of them, doing anything to build up the Gazan community, they built tunnels. Like, they've taken our tax money. Like, America is one of the largest donators to Palestine. Every single month, millions of dollars, and has been for years. They've taken that money, and instead of putting it and investing it into the Gazan people, they built tunnels and rockets. It's like how people are saying, like, cut off aid to Israel because they destroyed. Yeah, can you name one thing that Hamas has done in the positive for the Gazans in 20 years?
I can't.
Well, what's interesting is, and I was thinking about this the other day, it's a cultural thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about, where like, okay, so let's just say, for instance, every injustice that either the left wing or whoever, the protesters saying that Israel did to the Gazans prior to this whole conflict is true. Let's just say it's true for argument's sake. What kind of people say, these people, they did injustice to us. So what we're going to do? We're going to go and rip people at a music festival, fly in with what do you call it? Parasail in, take box cutters, the women, kill children, kidnap people, and this is how we get back at them. Like it makes you want. Like, we drop bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
and we're going to video it.
Yeah, we drop bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know what they said? You guys win. We fucked that. That's sorry.
Oh, and that wasn't called a genocide,
right? And the thing about it is, so it is a culture thing, because even when you could say, oh well, look at Israel's response, look what they did. I mean, it doesn't. Even if you go by the numbers and whatever, and we killed innocent people, which we definitely did, in response to, I didn't see like the gleefulness in. Forget about the politicians in Israel. The average human being in Israel was not like, children dead? Yes. We're like, oh, it's horrible. Like, that, I don't want to see that. Like, obviously, it's a bystander. Every time you hear
50% of Israel, like, is against the Netanyahu government.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's almost to the point where they use that as a smokescreen to put pressure on the Netanyahu government, even though they really don't feel that way about the Gazans.
But pretending there's not a cultural difference is insane when you can see with your eyes the people who are, first of all, people talk about 9/11, people in Gaza were cheering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
a culture that celebrates death.
Right. It's, in other words,
they celebrate death, whereas Jews in Israel celebrate life.
Yeah, I mean, listen, our motto is being a light, onto the world, tikkun olam. Like, it's like, we're good fucking people, and the fact that people try to demonize us to the point of like, and try to reference the Talmud or any, like, the funny thing is, it's like all of these fucking, pro-pallies, try to demonize us and make us look so bad. Like, they don't even use the best arguments that they can, like with, like real, like Jewish terrorists, like, Baruch Goldstein, who, fired, into the Hall of the Patriarchs and a whole bunch of Arabs on the Temple Mount. Like, they don't use the ones that can actually like have some sort of substance.
Right.
They just use all of these buzzwords of bullshit, but it all stems from they've been taught since a very, very early age that they are a fighting dog. That's all they're meant to do. They are meant to get into a ring and fight another dog, okay? That's the education that they're going to get. I'm not calling them dogs, but it's the same mentality of you taking a dog with not with the interest of making it a pet and being lovey-dovey and taking it on walks and clean up its shit. No, you train the dog to fight. And UNRWA school systems does that from 5 years old on. So when I say that a 15-year-old that's holding an RPG with 10 years of military experience and the training for the past 10 years, starting at 5 years old, to kill Israelis, fuck the West, fuck the Jews, and we will take our land back by any means necessary, alhamdulillah, that is not a fucking child. That is not a child death in my mind if that child gets by the IDF.
Yeah, and you can't give enough reasons for someone to do those things to human beings. In other words, I'll even go with the fact that maybe that they've had injustices brought upon them. Let's just go with that. You can disagree. We can have a whole separate conversation. Let's just go with that. Like we're just saying.
They have a compelling story.
Yeah,
there's no question.
If they have an axe to grind, that's one thing, and I think they might actually, right? We had 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust. Did we strap bombs after the Holocaust and go to German restaurants and blow ourselves up? Their women go to their music festivals, and now obviously there's World War II where there were boms dropped. That was
and German music sucks, dude.
But I'm saying as an act of our people, like
I mean, listen, Der Hast, great
All right.
song, German EDM, phenomenal.
Okay.
And they know how to march.
Hugo.
They really do.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
And Hugo Boss suits.
But yeah, well, the funny thing is, we actually did the opposite. We buy a lot of German shit. Now Jews are driving German cars. My point is like, there is a cultural thing in where, and this isn't not just Jews. I'm not saying Jews are better. Like, look at, like I said.
I can say, we're better.
No, but even the Japanese people, like, when they lost, they lost. Like, since World War II, and again.
Okay, you know what? Let me cut you right there.
Yeah.
You've made the best point. The reason why they lost is because they knew that they lost.
Right, yeah.
They were like, this is going to be a very, very unpopular opinion. The Palestinians have not suffered enough.
Aye.
They have not, okay? You've suffered enough when there's no more hope.
Yeah, right.
The West has created this bubble of hope where they actually believe that their goal is obtainable, like that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And the original saying is, from water to water, it'll be Arab only. It's morphed into this like pretty thing. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Yeah, protesters love to rhyme, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen. It's catchy. I'm not gonna lie. And some of like those, jingles that they fucking came up with, like there is only one. So like, I hate that. Like, like it gets stuck in my head. I'm like, fuck. I'm never smoking weed ever again. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'll be Intifada Revolution in my shower. I'll be, what the fuck? But they have not suffered enough because the West has blanketed them with this imaginary thing of hope, making it like they are the most oppressed people known to exist. And when they actually are, when they've suffered enough, they will say, that's it. You know what? Hamas, we don't want to deal with this anymore. We want to actually live normal lives. We will stop hating you. We can't deal with this anymore. And I don't know if that could possibly happen.
I never thought, like, after October 7th, after you heard what had happened, there was like a day or so where people in New York were like, holy shit, this is crazy. Even like regular people. And then
October 8th, like October 7th woke me up. October 8th made me never want to go to sleep again.
Yeah, I mean, and then to see like people, like kids with green hair who were like progressive,
I used to love the fucking pictures with different color hair. They were the biggest freaks. Like red or pink or green hair. I was like, yes, that is a good time. Now I'm like, you support terrorism, and you probably don't shower.
It's an insane thing, though, to go from like, listen, forget how you feel about the BLM movement. Like, all right, so they're in their brains, they're like, we want rights for black people, and this is injustice. And it's like, wait, Jews were just and murdered at a music festival, kids that were probably looking just like you, and your response to that is free Palestine. Where is this? And this is before a missile was even launched in Gaza. Obviously, it got more intense as that was happening. But like, I didn't like that took me by surprise. But what I want to ask you is, I probably should have seen that coming because the left has always been a little bit more sympathetic towards the Palestinian cause. What I've seen over the past 5 years, which has shocked me completely, is that on the right now you have a lot of guys. Who usually were supportive of Israel have been turning against Israel. I think the sentiment is that on both the right and the left, sentiment towards Israel is becoming negative for very different reasons. But we
suck at PR. I mean, and those people on the right that you talk about, and I'm not trying to like throw them a little grace, but a lot of those people are in the fringe pockets of the right because. Most conservative people understand because of their Christian Judeo values that Israel plays a very integral part in the world. Like it's where their holy sites are, and to have the Jews not be the first line of defense, those Christian sites are not going to exist anymore.
Right.
Based on the way they were raised, and I'm not talking about the Christian nationalists because they take things to a completely different level. I understand, it's like it's gang mentality. It's like, you want to feel like you're a part of something, and they make you feel good, and it gets your endorphins going and adrenaline running, and it's like, okay, I got people that got my back, and and my daddy never hugged me that way, and it's a bunch of that shit. But
right, can you give us a Christ is King?
I never realized that when people say Christ is King, they're it's almost like throwing a little shade on us. It's like it's like, yo, you could celebrate, by saying like Jesus loves you, like, or Jesus even though I don't particularly, I'm not fond of Jesus. I mean, I'm fond of his story. I don't believe that he's like the Messiah or anything like that. But to say Christ is King, it's almost like, okay, that's cool that you believe that, but wouldn't it be better to just say, bless you, or or Jesus loves you, or anything like that? Almost like Christ is King is like we're better than you. It's like here at Global Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
Well, the funny thing is like they say Christ is King, and then they're like, "Oh, Jews are so annoying, always trying to like take over." It's like you guys convert us, like you're trying to convert us to your religion. Like we don't
proselytize anything. Right. Like I like one of my videos that went viral was mocking all the people that think that Jews are going to take over the world. It's like we're doing a pretty fucking job. I mean, if you want to classify it as people that happen to be Jewish, that are in positions of power, that are like being the puppet masters, like the George Soroses, and he's not on our side, he's on the other side. Yeah. So it's like, so which Jews control the world? Only the ones that respect Israel? Like, I mean...
Also, they never take their anti-Semitism a step further. I'm always like, wait, you guys worship a Jewish guy, and you're like, maybe we Jews created that for you. Like, they never take it like that far, but it's like, it's just coincidental that your big religion that took over half the world is based on literally everybody Jewish. That Last Supper photo, not a single person is a non-ethnic Jew. And for the first 100 or 200 years of Christianity, I could be wrong about the exact time period, all Christians were Jews ethnically until they started converting.
Of course. I mean, they can't be. I mean, unless there was a God that came down and said, like you're a Christian, you're a Christian, you're all Christians.
They wouldn't do that.
I mean, they Christianity was birthed from Judaism, just like Islam was birthed from Judaism. So it's like,
you don't get there without Judaism. So like you can say, hey, we believe in this part and we believe in that part, and we could have our separate ways. But I think the second, so I think but I think the second you're like, oh well, Jews this, it's like, well, you got a lot to answer for, because without us you'd have nothing. But they don't see that far into it. I think really where the point of contention is with a lot of these
and we don't even leverage that. We don't even be just like, listen, you have us to thank for your books. Right. I mean, it's like, yo, tread lightly, because without us there is no you. Right. So it's like you're not gonna put us into a place of submission where we feel like we need to be subjugated in order to be accepted by you.
I almost understand the atheist anti-Semite a little better, because if you just like, yo, Jews are fucking annoying, it's like I kind of understand that. But like when someone's like, Christianity is the way and you're not, it's like,
that's pretty fucking annoying too. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, listen, I grew up with Christians. I have a lot of Christian friends, and I'll die on top of that hill by hearing if somebody is trying to preach the word to me when I don't want the word to be preached to me. I mean, listen, your love for Jesus, I love it. My next door neighbor of my parents, she absolutely loves Jesus, and I love her to death. And she never tries to push the word on me. She always will say, Jesus will look out for you. And I love that. I love that about her, that she believes that. It's a great thing. I wish I had that divine strength of faith that would allow me to think that there is another place out there. This is not, the only thing. There is some sort of afterlife, and it's okay when we die. But no, I'm still that's
the misconception.
Really
I think a lot of Christians who are nationalists think that Jews hate Jesus. We just don't believe in it. In other words, I don't have a hate. I can't. It's like me saying, do I hate Santa Claus? It's like I don't. Or
I hate that motherfucker.
Yeah, he's fun. No, but no. Do you hate the tooth fairy? It's like I just don't believe in the tooth.
I fucked her.
You fucked. I fucked her.
Good mouth.
But
no teeth.
But that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm not and a lot of Jews I know are not like, oh my God. I've been inside churches. Some of them are beautiful. Cathedrals are gorgeous, beautiful places. The real thing is, I think after October 7th, a lot of these assholes realized, and I think it's, I don't know if it's being funded, it's definitely being organized. They realized, all right, there's people who hate Israel for 4 or 5 different reasons. Let's all let them gang up together. And, the internet with all the algorithms and stuff, and there's power in numbers, and it was just a giant force coming our way.
There was a 2,000-year-old lie that basically, contributed to it, by saying that the Jews killed Jesus, which was put out by, the Roman Catholic Church. they had to issue a decree back in, I believe it was the mid-50s, where they said, we apologize for making up the lie that the Jews killed Jesus.
Where was that released?
In the mid-50s.
Where? Which news outlet?
The Vatican. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I mean, the fact that we don't know about that, like it's common knowledge. Like it was more common knowledge that the Jews killed Jesus, because that's what they used to say to me in fucking like elementary school. It's like, don't pick him for dodgeball. Why? He's Jewish. The Jews killed Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't kill nobody.
Well, like these fucking assholes don't believe Hitler killed Jews, but they believe that we killed Jesus. It's like wow, it's a way to pick like 6 million Jews didn't die, but one Jew 2,000 years ago did die. It's like, just pick your bullshit. Like let's go.
I mean, in answer to your earlier question, the reason why Israel is so significant is because we didn't belong anywhere else, like nowhere else. They actually I hate to say it, but the people that kicked us out of all of those places, they were Zionists, because they knew we didn't belong there. They knew we belonged someplace else. And if we're gonna use any sort of historical reference, we could use the Gospel of Pro-Pali books, which is The 100 Years' War in Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. The opening fucking page says, from his great uncle, Dr. Khalidi, who says, "This land is yours. Who can deny that?" This is, like historically, you can't argue that this is the Jews' land. And unfortunately, unfortunately for you, there are people that live there now. But he also didn't miss a beat with letting people know that this was the Jews' land. So regardless if there's people that inhabit it now, there was still always a presence of Jews that were in the land, and this is ours. This is the only place that we belong. This is the only place that even makes sense for us to go there. That's why when they voted for, there was a theory that, the Jews should go to Uganda, as part of like the Zionist Congress. This was the whole argument that they used for Theodore Herzl. He's like, it wasn't about Israel. It was about colonization. That's why you wanted to go to Uganda. Like it was basically, it was a refuge play, because Jews were getting attacked and terrorized all over the place.
Yeah.
We needed an immediate fix. If the Chamberlain White Papers of 1939, has stopped immigration, to the land, 40 years later, this is what was basically anticipated, that we need a place to go, right now, so the Jews could be safe, and then we'll go to Israel. But they rejected that offer, and they said,
and by the way, Israel, beautiful place to go.
Beautiful.
Great place. Probably better than Uganda. I don't know much about the topographical map.
Not at that time, though. At the time, it was like Tel Aviv is a less than 100-year-old place. Like almost all of Israel, with the exception of the old city, and the Jewish quarter and what's called the Arab quarter, majority of it was all like swamp and malaria-infested land that through like determination and grit and agriculture and communism, because it was all about, like being subsistence people and farmers and living off the land, and everybody contributing to society, because they were creating something brand new that never happened, cultivating the land, almost like, with the Puritans and the Quakers and the Pilgrims, coming to America and establishing those lands for aggregation. Most of it was all fucking swamp and malaria infested, and the early Jews that came in the first Aliyah, they left. They went other places. There weren't jobs there. It wasn't, comfortable living. There was, all your neighbors wanted to kill you because they didn't like Jews. It was systemic back then. Nobody opened their arms and said, "Jews, come in. We'll take you. We'll look after you." Nobody did that.
Most people are like that with immigrants of any sort. You know what I mean? I feel like anywhere that immigrants want to go, nobody's like, "Come on in."
I mean, except if you're on the liberal side of, the spectrum now.
America,
Now it's like, come on in. You want free healthcare, everything. Like what I've said, and I'm not anti-immigrant at all. And Jews should be the ones that have the most problem with immigration. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar. So 1921 is when they passed the Immigration Quota Act, which is an emergency quota act to basically stunt immigration from coming. And they pegged it from it was 3% of what was of the Jews that came in the 1910 census from each different place in Europe. And that's how they were able to control immigration. So 1921, about 100,000 Jews were able to come into the country. By 1922, it went down to 10,000. And then every year after, it dropped in half, to the point where up until 1949, only about 2,000 to 2,500 Jews were allowed in to America through the entire time, through the end of World War II, which is through the end of World War I, which is still, the 40-year span of pogroms from 1881 to 1920, and then all the way up past the Holocaust to the Jews, being liberated out of the death camps in fucking Bergen-Belsen and Auschwitz. The immigration restrictions weren't actually lifted until 1948, until June, until all the Jews already, found their places. So it was, if anyone should have a problem with immigration, the Jews should, because during the worst time in the world, America and the entire world closed its doors to the Jews.
Why is there such a connection? Like, even when we talk about Israel, I'm like, God, I got to take my family over there. Why do we as a people feel so connected to the place?
I mean, to each their own. I mean, some people have a bigger or more deeper connection, to that. But it's the oldest story in the world. It's the next year in Jerusalem. I mean, you could say it's a level of indoctrination that, our people have taught us, through our books and our religion and our customs that, it's basically just telling a story in history. It's the same reason why Palestinians think they have a right to come back to the land, because they've been told since birth that this was your land and you were kicked out of there, even if it was bullshit, and I can explain all of that. But we have a 2,000-year indoctrination and real historical connection to the place that we came from. Because no matter what, no one really feels like, it's weird for me to say this because I don't have that actual experience, but I already know that this is how I will feel. We don't really feel like we belong anywhere. Yeah, I know you come from Canada, but it's like we're Americans and, America first. But seeing the way that people have such disdain for Jewish people just for the fact that they're Jewish and supporting Israel's right to defend itself, and they're all caught up in the propaganda. So we must be, of a different cloth, that we're, such demonic individuals. That doesn't really feel too belonging right
Here's
there.
what I've had in the past 2 weeks.
There's no agency here.
I went to my township to get a permit to get a pool put in, and so I was making small talk with this guy, Dominican guy, lives in Jersey, and he goes, "Where are you from?" I go, "Canada originally." He goes, "Canadian Jew." Mind blown. Didn't know that there was any. Then I'm getting a spray tan done at a tanning thing, so I got my arm up like this. She sees that, and she goes, "Are you Jewish or you just have tattoos?" I go, "I'm Jewish." She goes, "Oh, yeah." She goes, "I know." So she starts saying
Are
the
you
Jews.
Jewish or do you just have Jewish tattoos?
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, I have Jewish friends and blah, blah, blah." She goes, this is her small talk. "Have you ever been to the Holocaust Museum?" That was her small talk. I go, no. She's like, it's really beautiful.
I would have hit it back with, "Have you ever seen a circumcision?"
Yeah. She did.
Well, you want to see what
it
looks like right after?
My sock fell off right after I said that. Final question from Jordan. Go ahead.
How do we fix this? Quickly.
How do we fix this?
Well, what I mean by that is how in terms of the disconnect, or forget about it, let me make it simpler. You said there's a messaging issue, right? Like we suck at messaging.
Yeah.
PR.
See, the problem is that Israel would rather exist than rather be liked. Israel would rather be alive and hated than dead and fucking respected.
Yeah.
The amount of money and resources that are needed to hack the web, to turn the table, is not in the cards.
You're saying Michael Rappaport videos don't do it?
I wish they did.
Yeah.
They help. They do. And God bless Michael Rapp. What he's done for the Jewish people is nothing short of fucking extraordinary, because basically to put your head on the chopping block, on the front line, in Hollywood, in a place where, even though fucking, people think that Jews run the world, not those type of Jews, he's basically been alienated from, he's probably lost millions and millions of dollars being an outspoken Jew. Forget about, his opinion of what Trump was in the past, now his opinion of Trump now. It's just the fact of him standing up for Israel, I got to tip my hat to him, because to reach that level of success that he does, and then to be, shitted on by a lot of the industry because they believe the fucking bullshit, I don't want to say it breaks my heart, because that would be a little sappy, but it's it pisses me the off, because, and I also know how that feels in a smaller scale. All the people that unfollowed me once I started talking about Israel, the problem is they didn't give me a chance to explain. All they heard was Israel, and they just like, it was a trigger, or they heard Trump, and they like it be like BB derangement syndrome is just as bad as Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this? The right messaging from the right people has to be put out there. Am I saying I'm the right one? No. I kind of think that the Mizrahi Jews, the darker skinned Jews, should take the reins on that one, because to disband the myth that these white Ashkenazi Jews, control the world, even though we're not white, we're just pale skinned, because we've had about 1,500 years of our Middle Eastern, dark skinned Jewish women being by real white colonizers of Eastern Europe, and that's why your skin is pale, my skin is pale, and your skin is pale. But if I grow a fucking alhamdulillah beard, I look like I'm right from the Middle East, and my Middle Eastern features come out. But so the Mizrahi Jews, need to take the reins. People like Tal Oren, Tal the Traveling Clot, or Abraham Hamra. These are people that know the history, know how to debate, know how to command authority, and they should be the ones. I don't want to say pulling the strings, but they should be the ones leading the fight, and for people to see that majority of Jews are not white. That we don't have that white privilege. Israel is, 70% of Israel are dark-skinned Mizrahi Arab fucking Jews, and only like 18 to 20% of them are those white Ashkenazi Jews. So how do we fix it? People got to stop believing the bullshit that are being told by people that don't have the credentials, that don't have a dog in the fight, and get incentivized to speak against us. Trust the people that are not paid to make sure you have my check at the end.
Yeah, I got it.
Cut that from the. But the people that are not incentivized to tell the story, the people that have really something to lose by speaking up, those are the people that you should trust the most, because I'm not getting paid per click on fucking Instagram, and I've lost half of my business in the music world. I just so happen to have a 12-year start of learning everything about the conflict in history and Middle Eastern diplomacy that I'm able to articulate exactly where your narrative is bullshit and mine is not. I respect your story and the fact that you have passion in telling it, but you just have a alternate version of facts that you can't substantiate. So shut the fuck up and let us fucking Jews just live life.
Beautiful.
Baruch Hashem, alhamdulillah.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
On Instagram, and go in my bio. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to support what I do and keep me being a badass Jew, just like these two handsome gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe. I think it's like $5 a month. And as Jews, I know you can fucking afford that shit. So with all the revenue that I lost, you could help pick up the pieces. Instagram at I am JopauL at Instagram.com, and check me out at the Verified Podcast on YouTube.
Awesome.
Right, awesome.
Badass Jew, man.
My brother.
We will see you next week, everybody.
One love.
From iron wombs, our fathers, dust breeze ancient.